Do you want to improve your engines for your boats and planes and tanks and cars and stuff? Well, watch this then. Yes. No. Okay, cool. Enjoy the video. Okay, so first things first, we're going to be putting down our engine. And so we're going to be using, in fact, let's use a large engine so you can kind of just see stuff. So we've got our two exhausts in this case, air, fuel, in, out, coolant, power. Now in terms of power, I might cover that in a separate video, because that's a bit more complicated. It kind of needs its own video, but so we're going to be focusing on our fluids today. So let's start with our coolant. So a couple things to coolant. Now what I usually see people doing is like this, and then getting a radiator like this. Done. That works, but it can be a lot better. Now, you're probably thinking, how's it going to be a lot better? Well, firstly, this is a bigger engine, and from my testing it doesn't really heat up much more, but you know, you want to get as much heating out of it as you can. So I'm going to use pumps. In fact, I could, oh, nope, not do that. Nope, I am clumsy. So we could do something like this for our cooling, and we could get, I'm going to get some large fluid pumps, the ones that are really hard to position. So we've got our, wait, so that's our in coolant. So I need that to actually be like that, and like that. Nope, I need it to be like, I want it to be like that. And so we've got our two pumps like this that we can then put into a radiator if we wanted to. I'll just put some pipes down like that. And so what this does is it actually circulates the fluid going through the engine, the cooling fluid, a lot faster, and it actually cools your engines better. Don't have to have two pumps, you can have, you only need one pump to do the lot. For longer cooling loops, you'll want two pumps. Essentially, the longer you make it, then the more pumps you'll need. But yeah, so that's just a thing for engines, and this can be applied on planes, boats, cars, tanks, anything. Alright, next things next is going to be our fuel. So there are two things that I want to cover with the fuel. So let's get a fuel color. Let's just do, actually let's do it. Let's do a nice brown for our fuel. So this is our fuel. So from our fuel, we need to manage our fuel in two ways. Now we want to pump our fuel in. This is one of those things that if you have room for a pump, you always pump it in. It uses a little bit more fuel, but the amount of performance you get out of the engine is 1,000 times better. So if you add a pump on like that, done. Another little tip with these is if you have a fluid connector or fluid hose or anything like that, if I can find one that's electric fluid, instead of just putting it straight there, what you want to do, get a fluid filter and do that. And for this one, well, we use diesel, so we don't want anything else going through here. So that way, we won't accidentally pump the wrong type of fuel or fluid into here. Okay, so I'll just get a fluid tank. There we go. Okay, so with the exhausts, let's just get a kind of black. Oh, let's get a light grey actually. So for exhausts, there is no real kind of, you must do something like that. It doesn't really benefit from any extra components like the pumps or the fluid filters or anything like that. So really, your exhaust could just be that, and that works fine. Personally, I like to put a flow valve on my exhausts. Reason being, on my ships, if my exhaust is underwater, I just don't want it to get flooded if it's facing upwards. So this just makes sure that there's no water going to flow through. The difference between this and this only allows fluid, and it allows every fluid to go in a certain direction. This one allows both directions, but only allows selected fluids to pass through. So yeah, don't know why you'd have like multiple on, because you'd probably want separate lines, but this can be used for like joining and separating lines. Then we have our air. Now our air, air one is, now this is going to be mostly for boats. Now, if you're on a plane or a land vehicle, done, that's easy. If you want to build this on a boat, don't use one of these. I've seen so many people use one of these instead of one of these, and it's gone horribly wrong because they've thought this has a similar function to this. The reality is that you can actually flood your engine. So what you want is a fluid filter, and we turn our water off and our air off, etc. And what this does is it means that the only thing that can actually get into our engine's air access is air. Now obviously it's not necessary, you don't actually have to do it, but it's just a thing to make your creations run a little bit smoother. Now, you can also do this on your boat,